So Kannaland has a new mayor. Nicolaas Valentyn was voted in as the new mayor of Kannaland on Wednesday, and that's after a vote of no confidence was passed against then mayor and convicted rapist Jeffery Donson and his deputy Werner Meshoa. Now, the two were ousted along with Hyrin Ruiters, who's the council's representative in the Garden Route Municipality. In fact, all three belong to the Independent Civic Organization of South Africa, which has governed that municipality after forming a coalition with the ANC after the 2021 municipal elections. To get your reaction, let's bring in the organization's spokesperson, Dawid Kamfer, who's with us now via our video link. Dawid, thanks very much indeed for making time. I mean, before he was voted mayor, did you know that he had a criminal conviction, a criminal record, I beg your pardon?
That's right.
And so, I mean, how did you substantiate the fact that he still is eligible for the mayorship?
For us, it was not really a problem because, as I said before, the IEC cleared Mr. Donson and Mr. Meshoa to stand in the elections.
All right. So on what basis then was he voted out in this motion of no confidence?
Most politics. In the first time, I think the ANC knows that because before Mr. Donson was coming to ICOSA, he was a member of the ANC when that crime was happened. So we know, the ANC knows, and before that, we was in a coalition with the ANC, and that was not a problem.
So you reckon that he's being ousted now has nothing to do with this criminal record and more to do with politics?
That's more politics. And as I said, every time after elections, this thing coming up, when the elections is gone, nobody is worried about that. The last 5 years, as I said, from 2016 or 2011, when we started this organization, Mr. Donson was a member, he was a councillor, he was the mayor of Kannaland, he was in coalition with the ANC and also the DA, and it was not a problem for them.
If this is an issue that keeps coming up, with the benefit of hindsight, do you think it was wise to put him forward as a candidate for the mayorship?
For us, it's not because, as I said, the court already decided over Mr. Donson. And we can come now and decide and say, now Mr. Donson was that, and that. So the court already decided. And that's why I said Mr. Donson was the best candidate for the community of Kannaland. And the people of Kannaland voted for Mr. Donson. And they know about the crime of Mr. Donson, of what happened that time. And nobody really knows the merits of this case. And that's why you can see, if you go into the election of 2021, 45% of the people of Kannaland voted Mr. Donson. And you know what? Mr. Donson, he was standing in a ward. And 1,200 people voted for Mr. Donson.
I mean, I just want to go back to one thing you've just mentioned. You say no one really knows the merits of this case. Well, for one, the conviction was delivered by a court of law, so that's one thing aside. But are you including yourself among those people who don't know the merits of the case itself?
I know the merit of the case,
right.
But as I said, I want them to talk about that because it's gone. It's 17 years. I think it's more than 16 years ago.
Right. Moving forward, I mean, what kind of relationship are you going to have as an organization with Jeffery Donson in a context where, again, this appears to be an issue that keeps coming up?
Can you say it again?
I'm asking what the plan is insofar as your relationship with Mr. Donson is concerned moving forward in a context where this particular issue keeps coming up.
And now, my friend, as I said, it's politics. We will carry on. Mr. Donson is a president of our party. People voted for them, and they must respect the voters who voted Mr. Donson. And we will. There's nothing that we can do because the people of Kannaland has voted for Mr. Donson.
Right. And you're not worried at all about the kind of impact this might even have on the popularity of your organization?
I don't think it will make an impact on our party, because I said this thing come a long 17 years ago. Everybody knows that, and as I said, this thing only come up every 5 years when it's election, and 2-3 weeks after that it's gone.
Right. I guess, to be fair, people associate with those who they want to associate with, but I also needed to be pointed out, I guess, that there's also a need to send out a clear message, right, about the stance of the organization when it comes to the kind of crimes Mr. Johnson has been convicted for.
We are against whatever crimes, and he said Mr. Donson is not the only one. Maybe you got that. There's a lot of other politicians with a lot of other crime, but as I said this, we are against any violence, women, and all that. But as I said this, that specific case, and people know that, our voters know that. So I think we don't want to be shy of what Mr. Donson is doing, and the people knows us. Mr. Donson is only one individual, a man, and as he said this, the people they stand behind Mr. Donson. So we are not shy to say we really the party and people who voted for ICOSA, they really, as I said this, they stand behind us and behind Mr. Donson.
Dawid Kamfer is the spokesperson for the Independent Civic Organization of South Africa, that's ICOSA. Dawid, thanks very much indeed for your time.